Hi, my name is Bill Marler. I'm a food safety lawyer and the proud publisher of Food Safety News. The CDC updated the numbers, and unfortunately, they've gone up. There's 57 people who are sickened. All 57 of them were hospitalized, and there unfortunately is now 9 deaths counted. And that's over 18 states now. Most of it's kind of east of the Mississippi, and so it's looking like, that's sort of the production area, that came out of the Virginia plant. Like in any foodborne illness outbreak, victims who are sick enough, and in listeria cases, everyone's sick enough to seek medical treatment. Listeria is determined either by a blood test or a spinal fluid test, and they find the listeria bacteria in the blood or the spinal fluid. It's then undergoes genetic fingerprinting called whole genome sequencing. And at some point, these various states upload that information to the CDC, and the CDC sees that there's an outbreak going on because all of the victims, all 57 of them, share the same whole genome sequenced listeria that was found in their blood or their spinal fluid. So the CDC knows that and these states know that there's one item that's making all these people sick. And in interviewing the people who are sick, or more likely their family members, it became clearer and clearer that the vast majority of them had consumed deli meat produced by Boar's Head. And then there were subsequent tests of meat, specifically liverwurst, and that was found listeria in that. So at this point, you've got both scientifically based evidence, traceback based evidence, and epidemiological evidence that's, tied these things all together. So there really is no question that Boar's Head meat, and specifically liverwurst, is the cause of this outbreak. I think one of the only factors that is going to be unclear sometimes is that a lot of times in these deli meat cases, there are other products that may well have gotten contaminated within the deli case, or the slicer may have gotten contaminated and then contaminated another product that didn't come from Boar's Head. But I think what's clear is that all the people who are sick, even if they didn't directly consume Boar's Head meat, the cause of their illness, the cause of their death, was Boar's Head listeria contaminated meat products. I received an inspection report. It's actually inspection reports of the Virginia plant over a course of 2 years, all the way through the end of July of 2024. And, I've been doing foodborne illness cases since the Jack in the Box outbreak in 1993. I've seen more plant inspection reports than you can imagine. I've seen some really bad ones. I think this is by far, however, the worst one I've seen. And it's also the worst one I've seen that extended over a long period of time. If you review the reports, it seems like they were documenting how bad it was, but there was no evidence to me that they were documenting any improvement. And I think that's sort of the shocking thing from my perspective, as an advocate of food safety. People in this business of deli meats, deli cheeses, ice cream, they all know that listeria is an enormous risk because listeria loves cool, wet environments to propagate. This was, that kind of plant. But if you look at the inspection reports, it's almost like a place they were trying to grow listeria. They had meat, stacked up. They had water dripping from condensers in the ceiling. They had water standing on the floor. All of these are harborage areas that listeria just loves to hang out in. And the fact that you had FSIS inspectors going, hey, you've got a problem here. You've got meat here. You've got flies here. You've got rodents here. You've got areas that Listeria can grow. And how this went on for 2 years without shutting this plant down, either voluntarily from Boar's Head or the government doing their job and shutting these people down. It's just sort of mind-boggling to me. It's almost like they were growing Listeria as opposed to, producing meat for human consumption. And it reminded me of some of the scenes in Upton Sinclair's The Jungle, in the slaughter facilities, meatpacking plants of Chicago of 1900s that prompted the Federal Meat Inspection Act to begin with. And I can't even begin to count how many times I saw some violation of the Federal Meat Inspection Act noted in these inspection reports. I mean, this is a classic case of producing food under, as the FSIS calls it, insanitary conditions. And it's insane, frankly, to produce food in this manner, especially when you know that, deli meats, especially liverwurst, are, consumed by elderly people and, the most vulnerable population you can imagine. And yet you're producing food in a plant like this, and you're allowing food to be produced in a plant like this. I mean, if I was Boar's Head, management and their food safety people, I'd be hiring some criminal defense lawyers right away, because this fits every criminal violation you could imagine. And frankly, if Congress was awake, they would be calling for congressional hearings and pulling the people in from FSIS. They'd be pulling the people in from the Department of Agriculture and go, what was going on? Who was asleep at the switch and why? The consumers need answers to these questions. No, like, civil liability, and likely no criminal liability. That's always tends to be focused more on the company. But I think there's a level of accountability that, needs to happen here. We're looking at inspection reports. Maybe there's some explanation for how come these inspection reports sort of read very similarly from inspection to inspection and inspection over the course of 2 years. Maybe there's some valid reason why FSIS didn't do anything. Maybe they don't have the authority to do it. And we think they do, but they don't. And there's also, where's the Listeria testing? Was FSIS doing any testing? Was a company doing any testing? So the answer, broadly to your question is there's probably no criminal liability for the inspections or FSIS, but there should be some level of accountability that should come either through the Government Accountability Office, or through Congress, or frankly through the USDA bureaucracy. There's questions that really need to be answered, and because you got 9 dead people and maybe more. You got 57 sick people and maybe more. And I think, the public deserves a right to understand, why something like this happened. I haven't seen a real heartfelt response to this. I mean, they have no excuses. It's clear that it's their product. It went from 200,000 pounds being recalled to 7.2 million pounds being recalled. If any of that product that had been produced in that plant, at least over the last 2 years, every single piece of item should be recalled. Most of that's probably not in circulation or production any longer, but that plant was a mess for the last 2 years, and I only got 2 years of inspection reports. If we go back farther, one would argue that they probably are, they've been producing this product this way for a long, long time, and it's just unconscionable. I think, unfortunately, we're probably in that phase, given the incubation period of Listeria can be up to, 70 days. I think we're in the waiting phase to see how many more people are going to get sick and how many might die. I think that that's a sad commentary, but I think that's where we are. There will be civil litigation against Boar's Head over this, and maybe some of the delis that sold it. And that's just going to be part of the course, and we'll do discovery and find out why this happened. But I also think there should be congressional investigations of why FSIS seemed to be allowing this kind of behavior to occur over an extended period of time. And my hope is that along with my civil litigation, that there'll be a criminal investigation, because in 2024, food in the United States should not be produced this way. And those people need to be held accountable for what occurred.